Puppy Love has been on my list for quite a while because I love Candace Bure, but I've kind of put it off because animal films are not always my favourite because I love animals, and if they get too emotional, I don't like it. But actually, this one's emotional for all of the right reasons. This was released in 2012. It's directed by Harvey and written by Cynthia Riddle and Peter Hunziker, and stars, of course, Candace Bure as Megan. We also have Katie L. Hawkins as her daughter Caitlin, and Victor Webster as Ben. And I have to say, I wasn't sure how they would resolve a problem that presents itself early on, but actually, they found a solution, and I was keen to see what would happen with it because Megan and her daughter Caitlin have just moved to a new area, and there aren't many children around where they live. So Megan decides that they can adopt a dog, and she wants to get a small dog, an already trained dog, but she happens to get this rather large dog that they name Prince, a beautiful dog. And we, the viewer, kind of know what's going on here because Ben has unfortunately just lost his dog, Jake. Jake ran off, and we see the dog being picked up by a dog catcher. And I think, or hope, you need to suspend disbelief here because I would hope that they wouldn't just automatically adopt a dog that's just been brought in off the street. I'd like to think that there's a bit more time trying to find the owner because the dog looked very well kept. It wasn't like he looked like he'd been on the streets for weeks or anything. So if you can look past the fact that that is hopefully unrealistic, the rest of the film works really well. The adoption place does actually tell Ben that they kind of adopted the dog, and they give Ben the details, which again I don't think is something that would happen, hopefully wouldn't happen. Nevertheless, he turns up at Megan's door and says, "You've got my dog," and he's about to take Jake back, rightly so, it's his dog, and you know, Megan and Caitlin have had the dog for like a day, but he sees how happy the dog makes Caitlin. So they come to a deal, and this is at the beginning of the film. They decide to dog share, which I thought was an interesting concept, but it does work out quite well because Ben is an athlete. He's often away at various games, and if he's away for a certain period of time, then he needs somebody to look after Jake. So it kind of works out quite well, and when Ben's playing baseball, Caitlin gets to bond with the dog, and when he's not, Ben gets to bond with Megan. Also, if I've called Ben Jake at any point, I apologise because I've just had to edit out myself doing that, and I think I've done it on more than one occasion. I'm the kind of person to give my pets human names, so I don't blame them for naming the dog Jake, but it does mean that in my mind, for some reason, Ben and Jake are one and the same. Either way, we get this romantic relationship that's blossoming between Ben and Megan, but obviously not everything is straightforward. There are things they have to overcome, and it's a really lovely story. And as I said, it's emotional for the right reasons. It's great to see how much happiness Jake is bringing to so many people, and I found that to be really lovely. I never got choked up for the wrong reasons. It's not a sad animal film. So if, like me, you love dogs and you're very wary and very cautious of dog-based films for that very reason, then this is absolutely fine. I personally found it to be a real pleasure to watch, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. As a Candace Bure fan, absolutely loved her in this. Her character wasn't always the most likeable. She had a much more uptight attitude than Ben, and because they're caring for Jake and they have joint custody of the dog, they do have very different approaches to looking after the dog, which is quite interesting. But I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a really sweet film. It's really moving. The only unbelievable, and as I said, hopefully unbelievable, maybe somebody can correct me and adoption centres would actually adopt the dog, straight away, but I really hope they wouldn't. But once I overlooked that part of it, it was a really enjoyable film, definitely one that I'm very happy to recommend. It's not overly emotional in a way that makes it difficult to watch. Puppy Love is a really sweet film and one that I'm really pleased with.